You don't understand anything. Do you still not know why I cheated?
When I confronted him about the affair, my husband pursed his lips, adopting an attitude that seemed to say, "It's not his fault, but yours." I confronted him, assertively. "What do you mean? Are you saying I'm the reason you cheated?"
Yeah, that's right. I cheated because you made me feel lonely.
Huh? Are you serious?
Of course. I don't want to hear your excuses. Just get out.
At that moment, the feelings I had built up towards my husband melted away. There was no longer any affection, only a sense of disgust. What did he just say? Cheating because I made him feel lonely? This is ridiculous. I'll make sure to make him suffer, no matter what it takes. Determined to seek revenge, I immediately began preparations. My name is Karen Rivers, and I'm 32 years old. I work for a well-known beverage company. Working for a beverage company involves more than just planning new products. It requires adapting to the changing times, such as modifying labels and container shapes. Especially for beverages featured in commercials, one must come up with memorable catchphrases and label designs. These tasks are quite challenging, and it's common for good ideas not to come easily, even after days of contemplation. Since graduating from college, I have immersed myself in work every day. The monotony of my work routine changed 2 years ago. It all began with meeting my current husband, Taylor. I first met Taylor at a group blind date I was invited to by friends. I was not in the mood for it to begin with, and I was just drinking. But then, he approached me. Would you normally talk to someone who is just sitting in the corner of the table drinking alcohol? He's an unusual person. I was thinking that, but when we started talking, surprisingly, I naturally began to smile. We exchanged contact information, and the following month, as we went out for a meal together. After dating for a year, we started living together with the prospect of marriage. While my job keeps me busy, Taylor's company is small, so there's usually some flexibility in his schedule. That's why, whenever I come home, he's always there, ready and waiting with a meal.
Welcome back, Karen. Dinner is just ready.
You made it for me. Thank you.
Karen, you're busy, so it can't be helped. It's something simple, so cut me some slack.
Yeah, I'm really happy. Thank you so much.
You're contributing a lot to our living expenses, so it's only fair.
We had quite a difference in income, you know. This is because a few years ago, my project was successful, leading to a promotion. When we roughly disclosed our incomes before moving in together, there was about a threefold difference between my salary and Taylor's. So we decided to split the rent, and I covered utilities and groceries. While most of the living expenses fell on me, I didn't mind, because Taylor took the lead in steering our life together. Unlike me, who occasionally faced sudden overtime, Taylor reliably had weekends and holidays off. So on weekdays, he cooks meals and cleans the bath. On his days off, he would thoroughly clean the entire house. I, in turn, sometimes took on household chores to give him a break. In this way, we supported each other, smoothly navigating our cohabitation. Half a year after moving in together, Taylor proposed, and we got married. With the official status of a married couple, we decided to move to a slightly larger apartment. However, a problem arose at this point. There was a significant difference between the property Taylor wanted and the one I had in mind.
Why not choose something in the middle? We're both about halfway between our workplaces.
I showed him the floor plan of a certain property, but Taylor never nodded. Instead, he boldly pointed his smartphone at me and said confidently,
So this place is definitely better. The rooms are spacious, and being on a higher floor is better, right?
You misunderstood even the place I showed you? Isn't it good enough? Taylor, even if we have children someday, your choice is too spacious.
You just don't get it. You can never have too much space. Besides, Karen, you can wake up earlier, right? I'm not a morning person, so I want to live somewhere close to the office.
What's that? It's not all about your convenience.
I do most of the household chores, so it's fine, right? Karen, just focus on your work.
Despite several discussions, my husband didn't budge an inch. Instead, he aggressively pushed his opinions. Since he was unyielding, we eventually moved to the property he suggested. It was a relatively small high-rise apartment, and the room he contracted was on the 7th floor. The rent jumped several times, visibly increasing our expenses. On top of that, he said,
I want to get all new furniture and appliances.
And I ended up buying everything with my own money. Initially, as before, we split the rent, and I covered utilities and groceries. However, around 3 months after the move, my husband's attitude gradually began to change. I'm home. One day when I returned from work, there were cup ramen containers scattered in the living room. Next to them, my husband lay on the sofa, looking at his phone. There was no usual greeting of welcome home. The room was quite messy, and of course, there was no meal prepared. Hey, Taylor, are you tired? When I inquired, he maintained his posture, merely shifting his gaze towards me. A discernible sigh escaped his lips, accompanied by a visibly weary expression on his face.
Can't you see it? I'm tired, so I made such an easy meal, right?
I see. Well, then I'll have cup noodles too.
Huh? I bought that stock myself, you know.
Huh? So am I not allowed to eat it? Even though I cover all the food expenses?
Well, if that's the case, buy it yourself from the convenience store. Cup noodles are cheap with your salary, right?
The somewhat prickly tone of his words caused irritation. Realizing that continuing the conversation would only agitate me further, I opted for the light soup I had purchased as a substitute for dinner. While soaking in the bath that night, a sudden thought crossed my mind. Why did my husband suddenly adopt such an attitude? I wonder what's up with Taylor. Maybe he's really exhausted. Up until now, I had entrusted most household chores to my husband. Though I helped when I could, the burden remained substantial. Several months had passed since that incident, and rather than improving, my husband's demeanor grew colder each day. Recently, he started ignoring me even when I tried to talk to him. A new project had started a little while ago, and I found myself in the busy role of a team leader. My return home was later than usual, and I would often collapse into bed without eating dinner. Lately, my husband stopped preparing meals altogether, and we began fending for ourselves. While I felt a sense of loneliness, for someone with early mornings and late nights like me, it was somewhat easier. Then one day, after a series of overtime shifts, an unusual request came from my boss.
Can you leave on time today?
It's been a while since I've had dinner with my husband. So I went to the supermarket to buy his favorite potato au gratin and roast beef, and bought 2 tarts at a cake shop. However, no matter how long I waited, my husband didn't return. The time was already past 7 p.m. My husband always gets off work on time, so no matter how late he gets off at work, he should be home by 6 p.m. I tried sending a message, but there was no response. Time passed with no indication, not even a red receipt. What's going on with Taylor? Even after 8 p.m., there was no sign of my husband returning. The prepared dishes were nearly cold. Frustrated, I decided to call him. Surprisingly, he answered after a few rings.
What do you want?
Behind his curt words, I heard a small chuckle. A bad feeling hit me, and I immediately pressed him for an explanation. Hey, where are you right now? Are you with someone?
It doesn't matter where I am. You're probably working late too, so what's wrong with having a drink and coming home a bit late?
I'm already home today. I left work on time. I even bought dinner.
I've already eaten, so I don't need it. Bye.
Wait a sec. Despite the conversation being far from over, he unilaterally ended the call. No matter how many times I called back, he didn't respond. My head was filled with discomfort. One thing was certain. My husband was somewhere with someone. Perhaps it was just a colleague, or a friend he hadn't seen in a while. But was this woman's intuition kicking in? I could sense he was hiding something in his tone and demeanor. So I decided to open my husband's room and started searching for something. Found it, the one he always used. This is the tablet my husband usually uses. He recently purchased a new one, so this tablet is not in use right now. If he's cheating, I thought there might be evidence on this device he used until recently. I turned on and charged the tablet. Perhaps because it was replaced with a new one, but the tablet was unlocked, and I was able to open it right away. I went through the apps in it and casually opened the mail folder, where I finally found what I was looking for. I knew it. Taylor was cheating on me. There was an email history of my husband communicating with his affair partner. It seems like he used this tablet because if he exchanged messages on a smartphone app, I would find out. In the folder, there were dozens of messages left every day, and there were even cheerful couple photos sent by the person he was having an affair with. The photo folder had many pictures of the woman who was presumably his affair partner. I went back in the email exchanges, which dated back to about 4 months ago. The change in my husband's attitude began right around that time. It was a mystery why he suddenly became cold to me, but the mystery has finally been solved. Considering the timing, it's probably accurate. In that moment, anger began to shake my body uncontrollably. My hand gripping the tablet tightened as if to say, "Is this not enough?" Unbelievable. To think he was cheating just as his attitude suddenly turned sour. I decided to wait for my husband's return and confront him with the truth. After 11 p.m., my husband finally returned, and I immediately pressed him for answers. Hey, what's going on? Were you cheating?
Huh? What the hell? All of a sudden, you're saying random stuff without any evidence.
I do have evidence. Look. I presented the evidence I found on the tablet to my husband. He seemed surprised for a moment, but then started laughing.
You really don't understand anything. Don't you get why I cheated? It's because you made me lonely.
My husband looks at me like I'm an idiot, his mouth agape. He acted as if it was not his fault and that it was my fault. I forcefully confronted my husband with this. What do you mean? Are you saying it's my fault you cheated?
Yeah, that's right. I cheated because you made me feel lonely.
Huh? Are you seriously saying that?
Obviously. I don't want to hear your excuses. Just get out and stop bothering me.
My husband took out a pre-filled divorce form from his bag, slammed it on the living room table, and had a triumphant smile. In that moment, all the feelings I had built up for my husband quickly faded away. There was no love left, only a strong sense of disgust. What did he just say? I cheated because you made me feel lonely? This is ridiculous. No matter what it takes, I'll make sure he pays for this. With revenge on my mind, I turned to my husband and told him in no uncertain terms. I understand. Then I'll just take my personal belongings and leave.
Fine. Do as you please. With this, I can finally live with my girlfriend.
In return, give me just 1 week. I need to find a new place.
Whatever. I'll stay at my girlfriend's place for about a week, so make sure you're out by then.
My husband left our home with the bare minimum of belongings. I, on the other hand, also immediately began preparing. Of course, it's not just about moving. I decided to take everything in this house. meaning all the furniture and appliances I purchased with me. On that day, I packed up some of my belongings, and the next day I contacted the moving company. After signing a contract for a monthly apartment for temporary stay, I left home. 2 days had passed since I moved into the monthly apartment. We had already submitted the divorce papers, and we were complete strangers now. On this day, as I was having dinner alone, my phone rang. I had anticipated it, and as expected, it was a call from my ex-husband. "Hello?" he exclaimed as soon as I answered.
Hey, what the hell are you doing?
"What's wrong? Why are you so worked up?"
Don't play dumb. Inside the house, why is there nothing left?
Huh? And didn't I say it? I'm taking my personal belongings with me. All the furniture and appliances in that house were purchased by me, right? So, is there a problem with me taking them with me?
What? What the hell is that? Since you're the one leaving, it's normal to leave that kind of stuff behind, right? What do you think I invited her for?
He probably intended to show off in front of his girlfriend. However, the house was now practically empty. Just imagining his face at that moment made me want to burst into laughter. Despite my desperate effort to hold back laughter, Taylor continued.
Hey, you hear me? Just give it back. That's mine.
Give it back? After receiving living expenses from someone and even cheating, how can you say such a thing? I'll let you know. I'll definitely claim alimony as my rightful compensation.
What? Alimony? Why would I cheated because it's your fault.
My fault? Made you feel lonely? Don't be ridiculous. We got married knowing my job was busy. In my own way, I valued our time together as a couple. You're the one who betrayed that, no one else. When I made that accusation, Taylor stumbled over his words, realizing that continuing further was a waste of time. As if to clear away all the resentment built up until then, I unequivocally declared, "Do you understand? This situation is entirely because of your actions. I don't want to hear complaints from a man who cheats. Don't ever involve yourself with me again. You and your affair partner can go to hell together for all I care."
Karen, wait,
Without waiting for his response, I hung up and erased his contact information. It was the moment when the grudge within me finally disappeared. Afterward, I consulted a lawyer and claimed from my ex-husband and his affair partner. The affair partner apparently promptly paid me in a lump sum, and then smoothly parted ways with Taylor. As a result, my husband became emotionally and mentally unstable. What befell him in the aftermath was a demand for rent payment. Oh, that high-rise apartment. Taylor insisted on putting everything in his name, saying he wanted to be a supportive husband. In other words, all bills are addressed to him. Up until now, the rent has been split 50-50, but from now on, he will have to pay all rent and utilities. He can't possibly afford the rent for that house with his limited income. Of course, given the circumstances of the divorce, he can't expect any support from his parents either. With no other options, Taylor moved to a small apartment and now seems to be making ends meet with a part-time job. On the other hand, as for me, I've successfully rented a new place near the company, and the moving process is completed. The shorter commute has given me more free time in the mornings and evenings, and I'm able to spend my time more meaningfully. Although my marriage ended in failure, I have no regrets. My career has been successful enough. I hope to continue enriching my life and strive for self-improvement every day.